To hear this and many more audiobooks in a podcast feed, please visit the first link in the description below. Thank you for your support. The Governance of China, Volume 3, by Xi Jinping. Audiobook Part 13, The People's Well-Being. Continue the Toilet Revolution. Main points of the directive on progress made in the toilet revolution of the tourism sector. November 2017. Over the past 2 years, the tourism sector has made a real effort to promote the toilet revolution, a manifestation of a tangible and down-to-earth approach. Tourism is an emerging industry that is going strong. We should continue to improve services and infrastructure to give it a boost, as we have been doing with the toilet revolution. Toilets are not a trivial issue, but an important element in promoting urban and rural progress. The effort should extend from tourist sites and cities to every village. This should be a focus of the rural revitalization strategy. It is a weak area that needs to be remedied. Bring a sense of gain, happiness, and security to the people. Excerpts from speeches made between December 2017 and November 3rd, 2019. Section 1. In recent years, solid results have been achieved in the construction, management, maintenance, and operation of roads in rural areas, those connecting rural areas, especially poor areas, to the rest of the country, and bringing them prosperity. The party has thus garnered greater support at the grassroots. The Ministry of Transport, relevant departments, and all localities must fully implement the decisions and plans made at the 19th CPC National Congress, and make sure they understand the importance of building roads in rural areas as a component of the rural revitalization strategy and the final fight against poverty. They should focus on prominent problems, improve policies and mechanisms, and better build, manage, maintain, and operate rural roads to provide the infrastructure that is necessary for rural people to achieve moderate prosperity and for modernizing agriculture and rural areas. From the Directive on the Construction, Management, Maintenance, and Operation of Roads in Rural Areas, December 2017. Section 2. We must always place the people's interests above everything else, accelerating reforming our systems and mechanisms in sectors for public well-being, and do everything in our means to guarantee and improve people's standard of living. We should continue to improve public services, enhance social fairness and justice, and direct more public resources to communities, rural areas, and groups in need of help. Priority should be given to matters that concern the people's immediate interests. From the speech at a gathering celebrating the 30th anniversary of the founding of Hainan Province and Hainan Special Economic Zone, April 13th, 2018. Section 3. The renovation of rundown urban areas concerns the life and work of millions. We cannot have cities with skyscrapers on the one side and slums on the other. We still face a daunting task in renovating rundown urban areas across the country, but as long as it is to the benefit of the people, we must try our best and do it well. From the speech during a visit to Hubei Province, April 24th through 28th, 2018. Section 4. Ensuring the safety of medicines is a duty that no party, committee, or government at any level may neglect. We must always prioritize people's health, improve vaccine management, and hold firm to the red line of medication safety, just as we would take a heavy dose of medicine to treat a serious disease. We must do our best to protect the immediate interests of the people and ensure public security and social stability. From the directive on the fake vaccine case of Chongsheng Biotechnology Company Limited in Chongsheng, Jilin Province, July 2018. Section 5. Myopia is a growing trend among students, particularly the younger ones. It is doing severe damage to their health and is a major issue bearing on the future of our country. We must attach greater importance to the problem and prevent it from worsening. In the context of deeper educational reform, all relevant authorities should come up with effective prevention and control plans and urge all local authorities and departments to ensure implementation. The whole society must act for better eyesight and a better future for our children. From the directive in response to the article, High Incidence of Myopia Among Chinese Students, August 2018. Section 6. Couriers of express delivery services work very hard, rising early and working long into the night regardless of the weather. They can be particularly busy on weekends and during holidays. Just like bees, they are the hardest working people, making our lives easier. We must put employment at the top of our agenda and create more jobs for the people. From talks during a visit to grassroots officials and communities in Beijing before the Spring Festival, February 1st, 2019. Section 7. The ancient Chinese used to say, filial piety is the root of morality. Footnote 1. Classic of filial piety, Xiao Jing, a Confucian classic giving advice on filial piety. End of footnote 1. The Chinese people have always honored filial piety and the value of family, caring for the elderly and the children of others as they care for their own. China is now an aging society. It is a matter of social harmony and stability to ensure care, support, recreation, and security for the elderly. The whole of society should respect, care for, and support the elderly, and ensure they have a happy life with more and better old age programs. From the speech at a Spring Festival gathering, February 3rd, 2019. Section 8. Civil affairs concern people's well-being and can affect their attitude towards the party and the government. They involve basic work in society and how we can guarantee people's basic needs. Party committees and governments at all levels should put people at the center of their work, intensify leadership over civil affairs, improve the capacity of grassroots agencies to render services in civil affairs, and ensure the sustainable and sound development of this sector. Civil affairs agencies at all levels should strengthen the party, persevere in reform and innovation, pay special attention to poverty elimination, special groups and public concerns, and fulfill their duties in guaranteeing people's basic living, grassroots social governance, and basic social services, so as to contribute to the building of a moderately prosperous society and a modern socialist country. From the Directive on Civil Affairs Work, April 2019. Section 9. Garbage sorting concerns the public's living environment and resource conservation. It is also an important indicator of social progress. The key to promoting garbage sorting lies in strengthening management, developing a long-term mechanism, and accustoming people to the practice. We should strengthen guidance in light of local conditions, take solid and concrete measures, and persevere to the end. Guidance should be given in the form of extensive education campaigns so that people understand the importance of and necessity for garbage sorting. Through effective supervision and guidance, more people will act and take up the habit. Everybody should join the effort, work for a better environment, and contribute to green and sustainable development. From the Directive on Garbage Sorting, June 2019. Section 10. We need to focus on the most pressing and relevant problems that are of the greatest concern to the people and the difficulties they face in their lives, and solve each and every one of them. We will do our best to achieve real results quickly, to give our people a strong sense of gain, happiness, and security. The party and the government should fulfill their duties, encourage and support the participation of enterprises, people's organizations, and social groups, leverage the role of the people, and inspire their enthusiasm, initiative, and creativity, so as to create a sustainable operating framework for the city. From the speech during a visit to Shanghai, November 2nd through 3rd, 2019. Remove institutional barriers to educational development. Part of the speech at the National Education Conference, September 10th, 2018. Generally speaking, our education currently conforms to the national conditions and meets the needs of economic and social development, but there still exist some prominent problems and shortcomings. These include extra pressure in preschool and basic education through factors such as Head Start learning and over-education, which damages the physical and mental health of students, as well as increasing the financial burden and energy drain on families. The urgent need to improve the quality of institutions of higher learning after their rapid expansion. The need to take further measures to change the trend of teaching and imparting knowledge to the detriment of the all-round development of students, and the need to enhance the party's leadership over education and strengthen the party and political education. All these problems require further reform of the education system. Since the 18th CPC National Congress in 2012, remarkable progress has been made in education reform, but many more things need to be done, as this is a prolonged campaign involving many factors and facets. Last year, the central authorities issued the Opinions on Deeper Reform of the Education System, requiring that we follow the established practices and principles of educational development and the way students grow to create a vibrant, efficient, and more open education system, which is conducive to high-quality education. Our drive to modernize education should be socialism-oriented, maintain the nature of education as a public undertaking, ensure equal access to education as the basic national policy, and promote innovation in reforming the education system. We should make education available to every individual throughout their life and make a study habit and a lifestyle choice so that people can study whenever and wherever they want to. We should guarantee equal access to education, trying to make good education available to everyone, regardless of gender, region, and ethnicity, and whether they are rich or poor or from an urban or rural area. We should make education adaptable to each individual's needs, enabling students with different temperament, interests, and potential to receive an education suitable to their growth. We should build a more open and flexible education system to offer more choices to students to expand their path for growth and clear the ladder to academic excellence, career advancement, and upward mobility. First, the mechanism to promote education on values and moral integrity should be improved to correct the warped evaluation system that guides the development of education. The evaluation system determines the orientation of educational development. At present, the most salient problem in education is too much pressure on primary and secondary school students due to short-sighted and utilitarian thinking. The deeper problem is that while everyone knows it is wrong, they are trapped in conformist thinking and are dragged down deeper and deeper into this quagmire of error until it becomes a vicious spiral. The concept of education for all-round development was raised over 20 years ago. Some progress has been made in this regard, but across the regions it is unbalanced. In the final analysis, the problem is the requirement for education to foster values and moral integrity has not been fully implemented in the education system. The yardstick for education is scores and admission rates for primary and secondary schools and research papers for colleges and universities. There is no proper place or sound evaluation system for moral education and education for all-round development, which is a long-standing problem we must solve. We should get rid of this obsession with scores, enrollment rates, diplomas, academic papers, and professional titles, remove their excessive influence on the evaluation of the education system, and reverse the utilitarian trend in education. Educational institutions should fully implement the basic requirement of education on values and moral integrity, reform the ways students are cultivated and schools are run and managed, transform the support systems, and build a long-term mechanism to promote the physical and mental health of students and their all-round development. We should support qualified colleges and universities in their efforts to grow into leading institutions. But we should not place them in a hierarchy. Rather, we should encourage each college or university to highlight its own strengths and strive to build first-class disciplines and facilities. The guiding principles of examination and admission systems need to be changed to ensure that students grow in a normal way, that the state selects from the talented, and that social justice is enhanced. The evaluation system for schools, teachers, students, and teaching as a whole should be improved so as to put an end to the misguided practices of evaluating teachers based solely on the rankings of their students, evaluating students based solely on their scores, and evaluating schools based solely on the enrollment rates of their graduates to higher-level educational institutions. The practice of rewarding or punishing teachers based on enrollment rates alone, and the covert practice of approving projects, allocating educational funds, and assessing performance in accordance with enrollment rates should be rectified. Reform of the National College Entrance Exam is of immediate relevance to many and has a bearing on the overall situation. To ensure that this high-risk reform of wide concern is carried out smoothly, party committees and governments at all levels should assume direct responsibility to check on and supervise this work and step up efforts to coordinate different departments. Some off-campus training organizations offer examination-oriented courses, which goes against good practice in education and the healthy growth of students. They have increased the extra burden on students and financial burden on parents and even disturbed the normal teaching order of schools, all of which has aroused strong criticisms. An industry calling for conscience should not become profit-driven. We should regulate these training organizations pursuant to the law and make them focus on well-rounded development of students. Second, we should drive deeper reform of school operating mechanisms and education management to fully release the vigor of education. Although our country boasts the largest education system in the world, we face a rather complicated situation. Unbalanced development between rural and urban areas and varying educational needs among the people. In order to run and develop this large and complex sector well, we must further our reform in school operating mechanisms and education management, modernize our capacity, and raise the level of governance in education by addressing such problems as inadequacy in self-restraint and self-development of schools, excessive, deficient, improper, and underperforming governance of schools by governments, and lack of social participation. At present, people complain that the government still interferes too much and involves in excessive detail with school management, stifling the vitality of schools. At the same time, the government's role in helping schools out of difficulties is not always fulfilled. The allocation of human, financial, and material resources for schools is administered by a number of government departments, some of which simply follow age-old policies and methods. This problem must be addressed systematically. Schools have their own well-established practices and focus of work. Party committees and governments at all levels should cut unnecessary inspections and assessment. They should not ask schools to suspend classes to organize social events on campus, far less assign to schools the work of attracting investment or organizing demolition projects. Governments can use various university rankings published by different organizations as a reference, but they should never be misled by such rankings. School management should be the responsibility of each school, and governments should delegate such powers as allocation of resources, use of funds, and performance assessment to the school itself to make it accountable for its own business. The goal of reforming the education system is to improve the quality of education. The first focus should be improving teaching capabilities by launching reforms concerning teachers, textbooks, and teaching methodology. We should identify diverse and effective teaching methodologies and approaches to make real breakthroughs in well-rounded education. The second focus should be improving learning capabilities by promoting reforms that foster moral integrity and lofty ideals, build intellectual and physical strength, and produce the talent needed by society. We should make preschool education available to all, promote integrated development of urban and rural compulsory education, encourage diversified development of high schools by exploiting their individual strengths, bring out the full potential of higher education, raise the quality of vocational education, step up poverty alleviation efforts in education, and improve the level of ethnic minority education, special needs education, and continuing education to create conditions for everyone to grow in a well-rounded way. The third focus should be improving school administration and operation in accordance with the law. We should work out a better system and stronger mechanism for governing schools and continuously improving education management as a whole. Third, we should improve the capacity of education to serve economic and social development. To meet the needs of a strong, modern, socialist country, we should adjust the regional distribution of institutions of higher learning, optimize the structure of disciplines and the setup of academic programs, and improve the management of higher education to help universities identify their particular strengths and find different ways to excel. We should instill the idea of innovation and entrepreneurship throughout the education process, enable dynamic adjustment of disciplines and programs, build first-class universities and disciplines at a quicker pace, and promote innovation by coordinating efforts of enterprises, universities, and research institutes. By doing so, we commit ourselves to implementing an innovation-driven development strategy that focuses on cultivating innovative, interdisciplinary, and professional personnel with practical skills. We should attach great importance to vocational education by encouraging the integration of efforts of enterprises and vocational institutions, improve the mechanism which attaches equal importance to cultivating moral integrity and honing skills, and integrate work with learning. This will offer a steady supply of millions of competent individuals to our industries and give graduates from vocational schools more opportunities for career development. We should roll out flexible and effective preferential policies, foster a culture which encourages enterprises to shoulder the responsibility of vocational education, and build a community of shared future for vocational schools, colleges, industries, and enterprises. Fourth, we should open our educational sector wider to the outside world to enhance its influence around the world. The sea and river refuse no stream. To modernize the education sector, we should be committed to the opening up policy and strengthen mutual respect, learning, and exchange with all other countries. We should promote high-level collaboration with first-class institutions around the world to introduce high-quality and much-needed resources, especially state-of-the-art technology and academic disciplines and programs that are underdeveloped, absent, or in short supply in our country. As part of our effort to train global future elites, we should develop internationally competitive education to attract outstanding students from around the world, thus making China a major world education center and a sought-after destination for international students. We should enhance the role of education in serving diplomacy, ensure the ongoing success of Confucius institutes and Confucius classrooms across the globe through educational exchange and cooperation, and make good friends to China of millions of people studying Chinese around the world and tens of thousands of international students in China. We should endeavor to train talented people with a global vision who are familiar with party and state policies, proficient in foreign languages, adept in international rules, and skillful in negotiation and communication with foreign parties. We should target our efforts to train professional and technical personnel and management staff proficient in foreign languages, ready to serve the Belt and Road Initiative, and make plans to train and encourage outstanding individuals to apply for positions with international organizations. We should move faster to build overseas international schools with Chinese features. This would help the children of staff in Chinese agencies stationed abroad, of employees in overseas Chinese companies, and of overseas Chinese business people and workers to receive Chinese language education. And this will also make it convenient for the children of overseas Chinese nationals and foreign citizens of Chinese descent to study the Chinese language, history, and culture. Safeguard political security, social order, and peaceful lives. Main points of the speech at the Central Conference on Judicial, Prosecuting, and Public Security Work. January 15th, 2019. We must follow the guidance of the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, uphold the absolute leadership of the CPC over judicial, prosecuting, and public security work, and adhere to the people-centered philosophy of development. We should accelerate the modernization of social governance, comprehensive and in-depth reform in the judicial, prosecuting, and public security fields, and the development of a consistent, specialized, and professional contingent of judicial, prosecuting, and public security personnel with revolutionary spirit. Working in these fields, we must faithfully fulfill our duties, have the courage to shoulder responsibilities and do what is needed, and be keen on reform and innovation. We must fulfill our duties to ensure our country's political security, social stability, social equity and justice, and a happy life for the people. In so doing, we will open a new chapter in judicial, prosecuting, and public security work. Since the 18th CPC National Congress in 2012, the Party Central Committee has been attaching more importance to judicial, prosecuting, and public security work, making a string of major decisions, and implementing a series of major measures, thereby safeguarding political security, social stability, and the peaceful life of the people, and promoting sustained and sound economic and social development. This results from the strong leadership of the Central Committee and the concerted effort of the entire party and all the Chinese people, and embodies wisdom and hard work of all those working in the judicial, prosecuting, and public security systems. We must put into practice our party's mass line and stick to the principle that social governance is for the people. We must do well in combining the best of our party's traditions with new technologies and new tools. Be creative in improving the mechanisms for organizing and mobilizing the people and for bringing them benefits, serving them, and addressing their concerns, and turn the people's wisdom and ingenuity into an inexhaustible source of innovation in social governance. We should strengthen law enforcement and the judicature in key areas concerning the people's immediate interests to ensure that our people can enjoy bluer skies, cleaner water, fresher air, safer food, convenient traffic, and a more harmonious social order. We should be adept at transforming the leadership of the party and the strengths of Chinese socialism into efficient social governance, and improve the law-based social governance model under which party committees exercise leadership, government assumes responsibility, all sectors join the effort, and the public takes part, so as to establish a social governance model based on collaboration, participation, and common interests. We should innovate and improve coordination of our efforts to ensure law and order, pool the resources of judicial, prosecuting, and public security systems and relevant departments, and foster a positive environment in which problems are jointly tackled, work is coordinated, and peace and security are jointly created. Leading officials of all provinces and equivalent administrative units and central departments must implement a leadership responsibility system and fulfill their duties in maintaining local stability and safeguarding local security. We must further promote innovation in community governance and build a vigorous and efficient new system for grassroots level governance. We need to promote the core socialist values, strengthen political and moral education, improve the nomination and commendation of role models who act bravely for justice, and let integrity and justice prevail in the whole society. We must do everything in accordance with the law and ensure that law-abiding people feel proud and valued, and that lawbreakers and unethical individuals suffer the consequences of their wrongdoing. We need to improve mechanisms for community-level self-governance, motivate the enthusiasm of urban and rural residents, enterprises, public institutions, and social organizations in self-governance, and build a community of social governance in which everyone has and fulfills their responsibilities. We need to improve public psychological services and related counseling and crisis intervention, and cultivate self-esteem, self-confidence, rationality, composure, and amity among our people. We need to accelerate the development of a crime prevention and control system that is multifaceted and IT-based. Gangland forces are malignant tumors in society, causing severe disruption to economic and social order and eroding the very foundations of our party's governance. We must unswervingly pursue the goals of the 3-year campaign against organized crime, improve our strategies and measures, adjust the focus of our efforts according to specific conditions in different phases and fields, and maintain an overwhelming momentum. We need to focus on major cases of organized crime and target the gang's financial sources, connections, and protective umbrellas, make real and meticulous efforts on both prevention and punishment, address both the symptoms and root causes, and ensure that we can deliver long-term, concrete results. We need to make new breakthroughs in the reform of the judicial, prosecuting, and public security systems from an overall perspective, and quicken our pace in establishing and optimizing judicial, prosecuting, and public security departments that collaborate to achieve high efficiency. We need to improve the allocations of the functions and powers of these departments and establish a mechanism by which the departments all fulfill their duties, fully cooperate with each other, and effectively check on each other. We need to carry forward the reform of the internal institutions of judicial, prosecuting, and public security agencies, and improve their division of functions, institutional setup, and staff establishment, so as to make them more efficient. We should enforce judicial accountability in all respects to enable judicial personnel to concentrate their energy on fulfilling duties and handling cases well, so as to improve judicial performance, efficiency, and credibility. We should focus on issues of major concern to the public, lose no time in improving checks on and oversight over the exercise of power, and resolutely prevent lax law enforcement, miscarriages of justice, law breaking by law enforcement personnel, and judicial corruption. We should continue to reform the litigation system, separate complicated, major, or time-consuming cases from simple, minor, or easy ones, and promote wide application of big data, artificial intelligence, and other new technologies in our judicial work. As providers of various public services, judicial, prosecuting, and public security bodies should work hard to provide services that are universally available, equally accessible, convenient, efficient, intelligent, and targeted. We should continue to reduce the requirements on document submission for the convenience of citizens, accelerate the reform aiming to provide cross-region case filing services, and facilitate the remote and coordinated handling of cross-region cases so as to improve off-site litigation. We should continue to build a public legal services system, accelerate the integration of legal resources, including lawyers, notarization, judicial authentication, arbitration, judicial offices, and mediation, so as to establish an all-encompassing legal services network that is accessible anywhere and anytime. We should work faster to build systems protecting the security and safety of overseas Chinese citizens and entities, and safeguard their lawful rights and interests. We should take a clear stand in giving top priority to raising political awareness and work hard to build a strong contingent of legal professionals that can be relied on by the party Central Committee and can meet the needs of the people. We should emphasize theoretical education and guide police officers to study and thoroughly understand the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. This will help them maintain their political commitment, think in terms of the general picture, follow the core leadership of the CPC Central Committee, and act in accordance with its requirements. It will give them full confidence in the path, theory, system, and culture of socialism with Chinese characteristics, and ensure that they will resolutely adhere to the two upholds and never waver in building and safeguarding Chinese socialism. Judicial, prosecuting, and public security departments should be strict with themselves, remove all irregularities despite pains, and ferret out any rotten apples with the strongest will and the most resolute actions. All judicial, prosecuting, and public security bodies should attach greater importance to developing their professional abilities. This requires an emphasis on combat effectiveness, practical usefulness, and real effects, so as to comprehensively improve the officials' ability to apply laws and policies, prevent and control risks, engage with the people, utilize technology, and guide public opinion. Among our state agencies, judicial, prosecuting, and public security systems are the ones which contribute the most and sacrifice the most during times of peace. We need to treat them with special care and encourage and support people working in these systems, ensuring their legitimate income and well-being, giving them humanistic care, and doing our best to help them solve their problems so that they can fully, actively, and confidently apply themselves to their work. We need to strengthen the leadership and ranks of the judicial, prosecuting, and public security systems and promote the development of primary-level party organizations. Party organizations and leaders at all levels should support the work of judicial, prosecuting, and public security departments and support them in wielding power independently and impartially. All party committees and their commissions for judicial, prosecuting, and public security affairs at various levels should give priority to steering political orientation, coordinating departments' duties, commanding judicial, prosecuting, and public security work, strengthening training of officials working in these systems, supervising the performance of their duties in accordance with the law, and creating an environment for impartial law enforcement. They should improve the systems and mechanisms for supervision on political integrity, maintenance of public order, law enforcement, and discipline and conduct. End of audiobook, part 13.